Rangers, the movie, okay? So let's talk about this thing because when it comes to TV shows turned to film reboots, they don't really work that well. Now, I'm not saying all of them do. There are good ones, obviously, like Mission Impossible or even 21 Jump Streets. You know, those are actually pretty good, even if they are a little bit different compared to the TV show. But then you have the bad ones like, Dukes of Hazzard, which is not really that great, even though Jessica Simpson managed to make probably, more than her shorts rise up in that movie. You know what I'm saying? On top of Miami Vice, which is pretty much a very fun and vibrant, 80s cop show, turned to a very overly serious, long, and kind of just a bit of a drag, cop movie. That probably put more people to sleep than criminals behind bars. And now we have Power Rangers, Is it good? Is it bad? Does it need to be morphed into a big pile of shit and just kind of tossed into a toilet? Never be seen again. Well, here's the thing. This movie is actually pretty entertainingly okay. It's not great, so you should let me finish. It's not great, but it's not necessarily the big mess people probably wanted it to be, or at least diehard fans wanted it to be. I'm a fan, but I'm not a diehard fan. I probably gave up after Dino Thunder just to begin with. But my biggest problem with this movie is just simply put, I think it's a little bit of a mix match type of thing, just to begin with. Because I feel like the tone that they're trying to go for with the seriousness and a little bit of a ground to take on the Power Rangers, on top of like the goofiness that is still always going to be around with Power Rangers, from names to just overall premises and just the setup, I just feel like it adds for something that just doesn't really work that well, and it comes across as a bad combination as like peanut butter and cheese. It sounds like an interesting thought, but then when you really put that shit together and you eat that shit, you realize, no, that does not really work. And it really doesn't on some fronts. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The variations are probably going to piss hardcore fans off, or maybe it might, get some applause. Who knows? I can't speak for everyone. But overall, I think this movie actually does a pretty good job of being entertaining, on at least from the action parts. When they come, and when they don't, overall, I think the cast is actually pretty good. Now, if we go to the cast as a journal, this is pretty much where the bulk of the film kind of holds its place. And I mean, like, legitimately, to the point where this movie tries to set up every character, right? And this shit is like Chronicle mixed with The Breakfast Club. And you can throw in Degrassi because they got the teen angst problems all over this place, to the point where it's just like, they really hammer you over the head, to the point where it's just like, these people are relatable. See it? They're relatable. It's just like one of those things. But overall, I thought the team was actually pretty good, because regardless, if the team did not have charisma or likability, or just simply put, they didn't have chemistry with each other, this movie crumbles like a game of Jenga or the Berlin fucking Wall. And that's just the simple truth. Now, overall, standouts from the team, not necessarily any particular person, but I thought Billy, which is the black guy, the Blue Ranger, I thought he was actually pretty good. I thought he was actually probably the best part of this entire movie. Bryan Cranston is fantastic. He's great. He's treating it serious enough. He's not camping it up. But speaking of camping it up, Elizabeth Banks is in this movie, right? And boy, oh boy, oh boy, she's hot. But that's not the point. And she does look like one of those ratchet chicks with those high-ass nails, probably like Friday. Remember the girl from Friday that had those big-ass nails? Yeah, she kind of reminded me of that. But she's camping it up. She's about the only person in this actual movie that actually realizes that she's in a Power Rangers film. Everybody else is probably like taking this serious enough, like it's something different, but she actually gets it. And for some reason, this movie really made me want to get a Krispy Kreme donut. I don't know why. But overall, some other things that really took a problem is that even though they set up these people like they're relatable, and that's great, and they give them the team to bond, moments for them to bond in some of these more quiet moments, so to speak, that's great to see. The problem is this is a Power Rangers film. The movie wants to be a character drama. The problem is, as I said, it's a Power Rangers movie, and you can't do that for so long with a property called Power Rangers. It just doesn't make any sense. So that takes up about maybe an hour. Maybe an hour, 30 minutes. And the movie it's not a problem when it happens, per se, but it gets to a point where that shit just starts to get a little bit boring, and just like, when the fuck is it going to be morphin' time? When the fuck is it going to be morphin' time? Because I'm checking my watch, and it's still not time. These characters are just kind of playing around and sit around with each other, and that's great to kind of get a little bit of background. The problem is these characters are pretty stereotypical, undercooked, underwritten, so to speak, characters. They don't really get, beyond what you kind of see, so to speak. They're the nerd, there's the jock, there's the typical, teen that has problems with sexuality. There's all these things kind of going out there, and that's fun to see them kind of explore the shit, but it's only a matter of time before they should have actually just been like, you know what, maybe we should have picked up the pace here and not just saved all the big stuff, the meaty Power Ranger shit, to the end, because that's the big problem. Overall, the story's not entertaining enough. I think the story's just basic. It's a little bit weak, honestly, just to begin with. But the somber and serious tone, I think it's fine. It's not overly serious. It's not Requiem for a Dream, Power Ranger style. But overall, it's just one of those things that I feel like they should have just embraced what Power Rangers was. And yes, you get the nostalgia feels. You get a snippet of the Power Rangers theme song and some cameos and Easter eggs. Maybe a scene or two, to kind of like link into what may or may not actually happen next. That's great. That's fun. But does that really add for a positive, or is that's just like a little bit of a check to the side? Because we gotta, open our minds here. Easter eggs aren't really a positive for a film. It doesn't really make that much sense, but we're all guilty of making that. But to begin with, like I said, this movie is entertaining when it comes to the action scenes and the team bonding experience. But the problem is that they take way too fucking long on this team bonding experience to the point where, and yes, they serve it as a story purpose, and there's a lot of exposition here and there, and there's funny moments. But like I said, the movie's not overly serious, but I just felt like they should have embraced what Power Rangers are and not necessarily try to go into the cool, edgy route of like trying to be something new and fresh. But look, this could be something special for somebody else, but at the same time, it's not. This is basically what you get with Transformers, whether you like it or not, and people do like them. That's basically what it is. No more, no less. You have interesting and fun characters for the most part, a good team, but the action just takes way too fucking long to kind of get to the main point, and then you're probably getting a little bit bored. It seems like this movie's going in circles and taking their time stuck in the mud. But overall, this is an entertaining blockbuster film that just kind of is a little bit predictable and generic, but no more predictable than generic than a typical type of Hollywood blockbuster that comes out in the summer. That's basically it. Should I say you waste your money on it? Sure. If it's a matinee or if you can actually manage to sneak into some shit, sure. Why not do it? That's just my thought. That's just my opinion. But then again, what the fuck do I know, right? I'm just a guy in a hat. Comment, subscribe, and like. I'm Chris Smith, and I'm signing out.